All right? So if you say that the commandments of the Old Testament are canceled, the Torah, the law is canceled, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Which of the commandments are you ready to throw away? The first one, thou shalt not have any other gods beside God. And by the way, I was asking this gentleman if he knew the commandments. He said, yeah. I said, what are they? He said, 10. I said, no, I mean, like, what are they? Oh, I don't know what they are, but I know there's 10. So what? Just guess what the first one is. He says, thou shalt not kill. I said, no, it's not number one. Number one is, thou shalt not have any other gods beside God. The quote comes in Exodus 20, also Deuteronomy 5, and it says, I am the Lord your God that brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. You know no other God beside me. Beside me there are no other gods. Thou shalt not have any other gods beside me. Depends on which translation you have, but I think you get the idea. How do you justify this one and start talking about a Trinity? You say, well, they're not really beside him. Some are up above, one's below, one's on the other side of the... What are you talking about? The second one, what do you think it is? He said, thou shalt not kill. So, no. Second one says, thou shalt not make unto me any graven image of anything that walks upon the earth like a man. I added that. Swims in the sea beneath like a fish, or flies in the air above like a bird. And I'm sitting there in the church one day, front row, in the pew, holding the Bible there, looking right at the commandments. Then looking right in front of me, and there's a man on a cross. No image of anything walks on the earth. Ugh. On the front of the podium, the lectern, the pulpit, there is a fish. He said, I will make you fishers of men. There's a fish right there. And it's clear. It's something that swims in the sea beneath. Then I look up at the stained glass window right over his head, and there's a dove flying through the air. And I said, man, he didn't miss a thing. Got all of it. Then the third commandment, thou shalt not kill. No, not yet. Third commandment, don't take God's name in vain. Don't say about God what you don't have the authority to say. Don't talk about God and say things about God. Don't use Allah's names for any vain purpose. Okay. Number 4, thou shalt not kill. Nope. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. What day of the week is the Sabbath? Saturday or Sunday? How many think it's Sunday? Put his hand down pretty fast, huh? Nobody else said that. Sabbath, you're right. Yeah. From Hebrew is the same word in Arabic, sabah. The difference between Hebrew and Arabic is going to be the pronunciation of sin and sheen. These two letters are reversed. And so some things you hear with a sha, it's sa, and some are reversed. So if you hear, for instance, salam in Arabic, it's shalom in Hebrew. Elisha is Elisha, the prophet, because of this difference. So Sabah is what? What does it mean? No, it means 7. It's a number. Wahed, Ithnin, Thalatha, Arba, Khamsa, Sitta, Sabah. It's a number. Remember the 7th day of the week, and on that day, keep it holy. Now, where do we start counting? Monday or Sunday? Everybody knows 1 is Sunday. So what happened? And that, according to the Catholic Church website, is one of the things that was changed at the Nicaea Council. Changed the day of worship from Saturday to Sunday and justify it by calling it the Lord's Day, because that's the day the Lord was raised up and la 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 la, right? True? Only the real truth was that Constantine was in the cult of Sol Invictus, the sun worshippers, the invincible sun. And there was no way that he was going to change his day of worship over to this new religion that he took over. Not going to happen. Okay. What's the next commandment? Thou shalt not kill? Not yet. It's the treatment of your parents. You have to honor them. Your parents are everything to you, and you must honor them and respect them. What's the next one? Number 6. I don't know. He says, I don't know. I said, that's when you should have said that, I shall not kill, because that's where it is. So we find that there are 4 very important commandments coming out of 10 dealing with the subject of worship. Then immediately after God and the worship of God, and what relates to God in worship, is the treatment of the parents according to these commandments. What is it in Islam? Somebody came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and said, after Allah and his messenger, who has the most rights on me? Your mother. And then your mother. And then your mother, your mother, your mother, and then your father. Isn't that amazing? And by the way, just as a final, I think, little message on this, for those who think that their Bible tells them that the Old Testament is canceled, according to the English Bible that I have at home, if you believe in it, in Matthew 5:17 and 18 and 19, it says more or less like this. Jesus is speaking to the people of the Sanhedrin because they're accusing him of changing the religion. That's what he was being accused of. Heresy. They wanted to convict him on saying something so they could get him out of the way because he was exposing them for the way that they were trying to control the church, or at that time the temple. He was exposing the Sanhedrin. They were a bunch of greedy, money-grabbing, power-hungry son of a guns. And he called them names. He called them vipers. He drove them out of there with a whip, man. He was really, they didn't like him at all. So that's why they were accusing him, especially of changing any commandment. And this is the statement that comes. And I want you to listen very close. If you believe it in any part of that Bible, this is what this one says. Do not think that I came to change the Torah, the law, and the prophets. I came not to change, but to fulfill. And not until all things be accomplished shall a single dot be changed. Now, in other translations, jot. Other translations, tittle. Other translations, iota. Other translations, which you can see they changed it, will in any way be changed or lessened. That's another word they changed. It could be lessened. And whoever breaks, this is talking about till the last day, till the kingdom comes. And whoever breaks the least commandment and teaches this, they will be the least in the kingdom. But whoever keeps the commandments and teaches this, they'll be the highest in the kingdom. And not unless your righteousness exceeds that of these Pharisees will you in any wise enter paradise. Now, if you said, well, no, but we're going to cancel something, you just got through admitting that you're going against this teaching. A single commandment, even the least of the commandments. I don't know. What do you consider? Pork as the least one, or the circumcision is the least one? And the person who's telling you that Jesus came to him in a flash and told him he could start canceling stuff, he's also the same one that said, if the lies I tell bring the people to God, actually he said, if the falsehoods, we're going to use the English that they use, that I tell bring the people to God, then why do they persecute me? If the lies I tell bring people to my religion, why are the disciples upset with me? Duh. If somebody's out here telling lies to get people to go to Islam, are we going to be upset with them? Real upset? We'll be more angry with them than any enemy of Islam, because that's the worst kind of enemy that lies within the very religion itself. True or false? Another quote, according to the English translation anyway, and if you said, well, you don't accept it, I don't either, so it's okay. But according to that, it says, because of the law, this is the commandments, because of the law, the Torah, I sin. If it weren't for the Torah, I wouldn't sin. It wouldn't be a sin, but because of the law, I sin. Therefore, I'm dead to the law, and the law is dead to me. And that's the statement that I heard from a preacher telling me this is how we know that the Old Testament got canceled by the New Testament. Actually, what it gets canceled by is Paul. Paul, who is what? The very one who says, by his own admission, that he used to persecute the real followers of Jesus even to death. But then he had a blinding light experience. Book of Acts, you quoted from Acts, chapter 7. By the way, when he tells the story there, it doesn't match the story he tells in chapter 24, or another version he has in chapter 26, same book. In one case, he's the only one that hears this voice and sees this light. The only one that falls on the ground, and he gets up and he's deaf and he can't hear and can't see and all this kind of stuff. But in another one, everybody hears it, but he's the only one who sees it. Another one, everybody hears it and sees it, and they all fall down. Kind of hard to keep the same story straight. It is a big book, We have another one here. It asks, this is a good question to end with, actually. There's a question here about differences between Catholic and Protestant. Questions about how you feel after you enter Islam. But this one, I think this is important to ask the question. Is what do you feel after you come into Islam? How do you feel about having been a Christian? How do you feel about Christians? And what is your relationship with Christians now, especially your family? As a Muslim, we don't have a choice. We must give our families the very best respect, regardless of how they treat us. The only thing that we cannot do, if our mother or father try to get us to worship something other than Allah, that we can't do. But other than that, we have to obey them. It's chapter 31 of the Quran. It's very clear about giving respect to your parents and your siblings. You must not cut the ties of kinship. This is chapter 4 of the Quran, very clearly telling us there that you must keep good connection with them. And respect and honor is very, very important. As far as